Alright, back again, Luke here. And as you can see in front of you, today what I thought we could do is another arcade-related video. And the main reason why I decided to make this video is I posted some pictures on these games here up on Facebook and had a lot of people asking questions. Have you ever made a video on the system? Some people asked, what is that? Could you explain it a little bit more? So today what I thought we could do is take a look at the system here, some of the games, peripherals, and etc. in more detail. If you take a look over here, this is a motherboard for an IGS PGM system. Now for some people may be asking, what the heck does that mean, IGS PGM? So IGS is a Taiwanese company that was around in the 1990s, and PGM is Poly Game Master, which is the name of this system. Now, if you are somebody who's into arcades, and especially somebody who's a Neo Geo fan, you'll probably recognize right off the bat that this looks exactly, or very similarly to, a Neo Geo MVS one-slot motherboard. Now there's a lot of similarities between the two here. If by any chance you're somebody who doesn't understand what either one of these things are in front of you, let me try to explain a little bit. A Neo Geo MVS system is a multi-video system. It came out in the 1990s and was used in arcades all around the world. The hardware usually runs on a cartridge-based system, very much the same as the PGM system. The only difference with this one is that there were 1-slot boards, 2, 4, and 6-slot boards made so that you could put multiple games into one motherboard and play them on a single arcade machine. The downside with this system, however, is there was only a 1-slot board ever made for it. So, some other similarities, however, between this one and the one that we just saw here with the MVS system is that I just mentioned they both look the same. They both came out at around the same time. This one is a Taiwanese company, this one obviously a Japanese company. With the two boards here, they have a lot of similarities and a couple of differences. One of the first ones here with the similarities is they both use a JAMMA connector here. So these are both JAMMA compatible for the edge connectors. They have a volume selector or a volume pot on the front here. This one has the volume adjustment on the side. This one also has a set of dip switches which can be changed or adjusted as far as like testing out the hardware or changing settings. This one as well. Now, to get into the differences between these two, this one has something specific that this board just doesn't have, which is what makes this system a little bit more unique. Now, not to say that this system is better than this system by any means. In fact, I really love a Neo Geo system, and the PGM system has its own unique features. But instead of comparing those, what I thought we could compare is just some of the differences. And like I mentioned, the first one here being this slot on the side. Now this connector here is what this cable connects into. The connector itself plugs into the side here like so, and what this gives the system is it gives the system another player or another 2 players so that the games that were released on this that were 4-player games can be played 4-player on the same monitor. Now the way this harness works is this one will plug into your original JAMMA setup. This one will plug into the other arcade or other JAMMA setup, or it could be even a super gun. And for those of you who don't know what a super gun is basically like a control panel that can serve all of the same purposes of an arcade cabinet, minus the monitor. It has all of the controls on it, etc. It's just a lot smaller. This can plug right into that, and you can play 4-player simultaneous play on the same screen at the same time. This is a really unique feature, and unfortunately the Neo Geo MVS system didn't really have that. There was one specific game, which was Kizuna Encounter, that had a 4-player tag adapter that was designed for it, and that was for Kizuna Encounter Tag, which was a game that never got released or never got officially released. I believe it was still in development, but the board was designed and it was made, and it's out there. But to find the game or to find the board is extremely rare, and there was only 1 or 2 games that you could use it for. With this system here, you can use the 4-player harness with a lot of the games that you see in front here. Most specifically, a lot of the Knights of Valor series, which are more towards the middle here in the middle column. The Oriental Legends series, which is over here on the side. You can use it with the Gladiator, I believe, which is a 4-player game over here. It has a lot of different games that you can use 4-player simultaneous play, which is really nice. Now, getting back to the system itself here, this was designed as a competitive product to go against the SNK hardware, the Neo Geo hardware, in the 1990s. As far as the technical details as to how the patent system worked or who took ideas from what, basically from my perspective it looks more like SNK designed the hardware, like I had mentioned, with the MVS original cartridge design, and PGM adapted or took, I'm not sure exactly how it happened, but they have very similar looks to them, very similar performance, and very similar styles of games for the two systems, especially with, like I said, the different series, fighting, puzzle, action games. The Neo Geo MVS has fighting, puzzle, action games. Obviously it has shooters, this does too. So just to go and take a look at the two games here a little bit more in depth. If we take a look at these two here, side by side, one thing you'll notice is the length of the MVS game is a little bit longer than the PGM game. And on the side here, you'll notice that there's about a difference of 2 centimeters or so on the end. So, basically speaking, the game card itself is a little bit stretched out and a little bit shorter than a Neo Geo MVS game. But as far as the inside goes and the internals go, they both share very similar ideas with two boards here. One board is a char board or a character board, one is a program board or a ROM board. The character board holds all of the character sprites, it also holds the sound for the game, and the program board holds the program for the game. Now, both of these have very similar setups, they have almost exactly the same kind of shape and look. One of the biggest differences, however, is the PGM has a slot cut in the middle here, and it has a bevel on the edge here. So there's no way that you can put this game in upside down. It just won't allow it into the system. What was clever about the Neo Geo MVS, however, is that with this game, all of these games have screws on the back. They can be opened up. If you put a PGM game in the wrong way, you can fry some of the components on the game. Like, I've done it one time, and it was while I was cleaning a game. I put one of the boards backwards, and when I plugged it into the system, it wound up taking out one of the parts on the board. I don't know how it did it, I'm not sure exactly why it did it. I don't have the exact pinouts for this game here, and I don't know exactly if it was something that shorted out because of the fact that it was in upside down, but that was one big problem with this. The genius part about the MVS is that if you put the boards in the wrong way, if you put them in backwards, the game will not fry, but rather it will just not boot. The way that SNK did this one is they put the positive or the +5 in the middle of the board, and they put the ground points on the outside, so if you switch it back and forth, you really don't have to worry about it. It'll just come up blurry, or it'll come up with an error, so you can flip it around. These ones, however, are a little bit different. I apologize here, I'm suffering a little bit of a cold, but to get back on the system, so we know this system can play 4-player. We know that the hardware itself had only one specific revision or one specific motherboard that was made for it, whereas the Neo Geo MVS had multiple versions of motherboards made for it. We know that this was a Taiwanese only system, and where this one was Japanese and worldwide. But to go back to the system here and talk a little bit more as far as the regions on it, this game system was released in Taiwan, China, it was released in Japan, and there were a few games that were released around in English. And those games are usually either specifically in English, or in some cases here, I have a couple of games, I don't remember exactly where they're located, I believe this is the one here. This is Puzzly 2. This Puzzly 2, this one in particular, says Other when it comes up. If you take a look at the ROM is Other, and when the game boots, it boots and it says this game is available for Japan, America, China, Taiwan. It just comes up with everything. Whereas with these other games, it'll say only released for China, only released in Taiwan, only released in Japan. So it has a little bit of a difference with some of the way that the regions were made for the games. Now, getting back to the system itself, for those people out there who have never seen the system, one of the main reasons why is because it was mostly released in Asia, and you don't see a lot of it outside of Asia. I don't even believe that this game was popular, this system was popular in parts of Europe. I don't think it made it to the States very much. Maybe there might have been a few cases of people owning this in arcades back in the day, but this is a really specific system to Asia here. So the games and the quality of the games are fantastic. There's a lot of effort that was put into these games. The look, the sound, the feel, everything about these games looks authentic, and it is authentic for the most part, except for a few select games that you'll see in this stack. Now, unfortunately, I can't see the whole front row here, but just as an example, the system itself had 29 games that were supposedly made for it. Out of the 29 games, there were other games that were also released, but those games were hacks, bootlegs, or conversions. One of those games being this one here, which is Dodonpachi Black Label. Now, Dodonpachi Black Label is a cave shooter, but this was only released on a single board, or it was released on a compilation disc. This game, I wound up purchasing this one from someone over in Europe who does conversions, and was able to use one of the original games from this system and convert it into this game here. Now, a lot of people say that's not a real game, it's kind of destroying real games, etc. And I totally understand that with this one. A good point about these conversions is that with the arcade PCBs, normally the games themselves, like the cave shooters, are extremely expensive, they're very fragile, and if something were to happen to it, you would be out a lot of money. With these conversions, they play just as good as the arcade versions. Some of them don't have the same features, like as far as this one goes, it doesn't allow you to play the vanilla version of the game, and I think it restricts maybe 1 or 2 points on some other aspect of gameplay. But the good point about it is that the sound is beautiful, it sounds fantastic. It was originally released for the PGM system, but it was released on the PGM 2 system, so technically this was, it was released for the PGM, but it was released on different hardware. So the last thing about it is that it is an encased game, so if you drop it, if you leave it out somewhere, if you put something on it, you don't have to worry about it breaking necessarily. So it does have its benefits, and it is not a bad game by any means, I think, and these conversions are quite good, I think. So going on here, I mentioned that this was made for the PGM system too. PGM had 3 different systems that were made for it. PGM 1, which was this cart-based system, 28 games originally made for it. The PGM 2 system, which had a handful, I believe about 7 games that were made for it, much larger, but once again it was only a single slot or a single press-on game system. And the PGM 3 system, which as far as I know only has 1 game that was released for it, and it's in a built-in enclosure. But these were all the game systems that were made for this or by this company here. IGS is well known for making a lot of fruit machines, like the ones for the 5-liner, slot machines, things like that. But this was one of those machines, or one of those specific kinds of hardware that they built, designed, and were quite successful with, I think, to an extent, but obviously not successful enough to beat the Neo Geo MVS. So, in a nutshell, with this system, if you come across the games that you see in front of you, you can probably find a majority of these games still, even today, on places like eBay or online shopping places. And the games are quite reasonable, I think, compared to a lot of the Neo Geo MVS games. Like I said before, there's a pretty good variety of games. These are the majority of the games that were released for it. And it's something, if you can pick up the games for it and kind of have your own collection, it's a little bit more diverse than just having the original MVS. It gives you something else to play as well that's a little bit similar, so it's kind of nice. Other things to note here, there are a few rare games that are in this set, and I'll try and go over a couple of those. The first ones here, this is, like I mentioned, Dodonpachi and Black Label. This is Ketsui, which is another converted game. Both of these games, as well as this game over here. This is Espagolda, and these three games are very, very rare, very uncommon, and quite expensive. Each game will run you probably around $200+, and they're very hard to come by. They were made by a European programmer who designed these, and I don't believe that he makes these anymore, so they were kind of like a one-time get or one-time pickup. But I wound up purchasing these, and I'm very pleased with them, very happy and glad that I got them. The other games here, I guess I can just kind of run down the list and you guys can like take a look at which game is what. Kind of got my list here backwards. But the first game at the top, Dodonpachi Black Label. We've got Ketsui. The next one is Dragon World Pretty Chance. Now this is a kind of erotic version of a Chinese puzzle game. It's quite interesting, and it usually is a bit more uncommon. I wouldn't say that it's extremely rare, but it is more uncommon. The price on this one averages maybe like $70 to $100. If we go down here, we've got Dragon World 2001, very common game. Dragon World EX, which is a little bit more uncommon to find, maybe $70 or so. These are all puzzle games. Dragon World 3, 3 Special, we have both of these. These are two different versions. 3 was just the original one, 3 Special had a couple of differences to it, and you can note by the difference in the front is Special has Special written in yellow, 3 doesn't have anything written on it, so they're two separate games. The Real and Fake games, this is Real and Fake. What it does is it allows you to choose between two different pictures and try and find the differences between the two. You just kind of click on the differences and find the difference game. That's all it is. The first one and the second one. In the middle here, we've got Puzzly 2. This is the one that I maybe showed you just a second ago. This is the Korean version. The next one is Puzzly 2. This is the all-around, the world version, I suppose. And the third one is Puzzly 2, the Chinese version, which is probably the most difficult to find just because of its rarity. It's not a very common game to find. If we keep going down here, we've got the next one, which is Shiny 3-in-1, which is the orange labeled game. This game is, once again, another rare one to find. You can find the one under it, which is a Happy 6-in-1. These are both puzzle games. But Shiny 3-in-1, the orange-colored one, is much more difficult to find. Probably might cost you, I don't know, like $80, $90 if you come across it. Next, onward, if we go down towards the bottom, we have Knights of Valor Superheroes Plus, which was supposedly a conversion or a bootleg game. Under that, we have Knights of Valor Superheroes, which was an original game that was made for the system. Knights of Valor 2 Nine Dragons, which once again is basically, it's a ROM hack of the original Knights of Valor 2. What it does is give you more power, gives you a little bit more hit points, makes the game a little easier, I suppose. The Knights of Valor 9 Dragons is a little bit more expensive, I believe, than Knights of Valor 2. So you can come across both of those quite easily right now, I believe, on eBay as far as making this video. You can find those. The last one, going down towards the bottom, we have Knights of Valor Plus, which is the second to last one, which is a hack of Knights of Valor. Once again, it allows you to have more energy bar than the original Knights of Valor. Knights of Valor Plus is very rare to find. It's not easy to find it for sale. Probably might wind up spending like $100+ on it, or if you're lucky, maybe $90. On this side here, we've got Espagolda. We've already gone over that, which is part of this series. The next one here is B-Storm. This was an original game that was made for the IGS system, and or for the PGM system. This is basically a cave shooter. It's Dodonpachi 2, but it's not endorsed by Cave, so it's not a cave game. But it was originally released for the system. One of the more rarer games, probably cost around $300 if you can find it. Going down here is Gladiator. The Gladiator is a very rare game nowadays. It will still cost you maybe $200, $300 if you can find it. A good side-scrolling beat-em-up, as well as the Knights of Valor. Those are all side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Going down here, we've got Demon Front, which is very similar to your favorite Metal Slug games if you played any of the Metal Slug series. Very similar to that. One of the biggest differences is it has a little hovering character or like helper that floats around you, and you can use that to attack other enemies. And it's kind of cool. It's got its own unique system to it, so very good game. Usually runs about $100, $200 if you can find it. Going down here is the more expensive and probably the rarest game on the system, which is the green labeled one, labeled Spectral vs. Generations. This is a fighting game, and it's the last game that was made for the system. It's the most expensive, like I mentioned, $300+ if you can find it, and it just doesn't come up very much. Going down here, we've got the Oriental Legends series, going all the way from the first one, which is yellow, downward. This is Oriental Legends 1 Special, Oriental Legends Special Plus. These ones are all very, very cool. They really use a lot of the old Chinese kind of idea for historical, the monkey, the pig, the historical kind of, or historical mythological animals that they used in a lot of the Chinese stories, which is kind of cool. And it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. Has a lot of demons in it, a lot of monsters. Very cool if you can pick it up. Each one goes for about $70 each. Going down towards the third to last one, this is Martial, which one? Martial Masters, another very expensive, more rare one. Probably cost you about $200 or so. It's a fighting game. And the last two, Killing Blade and Killing Blade Plus. These are both original games for the system. Killing Blade Plus is much more rare, I believe, nowadays than Killing Blade. And Killing Blade Plus will run you about $100 or so. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to go through here with the system. There's a lot more that I'd love to talk about, and unfortunately, just due to time constraints in one video, I can't go over just everything. But if you have a chance to pick up this system, or if you're looking at trying to get some of the games or to get the system itself, as of this video, you can still pick them up quite easily on eBay. If you type in PGM IGS, you'll be able to find almost all of the things that I've talked about, with the exceptions of some of the more rare games. But it's a great system to have, and if you're into the arcade games, especially the Neo Geo or Neo Geo MVS system, you'll love this one. But yeah, that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you guys later.